Hello all, welcome to the new Simply Put series by Kalamais Academy. This is Priyanka Mahapatra, faculty at Kalamais. So today we'll be having a discussion on the newspaper dated 9th of February 2024. So the text in the context section of the Hindu newspaper was not having any article which is important from our exam point of view. Then coming to the explain section of the Indian Express newspaper, two articles were important about the white paper. Okay, but in this article, this is a very political article, but in this article we have extracted some important facts and concepts that needs understanding for the exam, right? Then we come to the subcategorization within the SC quota, that is the sub-classification within the SC quota that we'll be talking about. So these are the two articles which we are going to discuss today, which are displayed on your. So the first article is about the sub-classification or the sub-categorization within the scheduled caste. And should some scheduled caste get more quota benefits than others only because they are behind the other scheduled caste? What is the debate around in which the apex court has reserved its verdict? So recently, the 7-judge Constitution bench headed by the Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud on Wednesday, it has reserved the judgment in the subclassification among the scheduled caste case. So firstly, we'll be seeing the course of events in which various Supreme Court judgments have come over this context. Okay, so firstly, the debate started in 1975, where the Punjab government came up with a notification dividing its 25% SC reservation into two categories. So it gave preference to the economically and educationally backward communities among the scheduled caste, that is the Valmiki and Mazhabi Sikh communities. Okay, so they were given first preference for the reservation in the education and public employment. Okay, then comes the other SCs. Okay, then in 2000, the Andhra Pradesh also came up with the similar kind of preferential categorization. Okay, it gave preferential treatment to the Madigas in Andhra Pradesh through an act, that is Andhra Pradesh Scheduled Caste Rationalization of Reservations Act 2000. So following this act by the Andhra Pradesh government, after 4 years, the Supreme Court gave its ruling. The Supreme Court gave its ruling against the subclassification of the caste by the states in the E.V. Chennaiya versus State of Andhra Pradesh case 2004, where it said that states have no power to interfere like this. States have no power to disturb the list like this, including through the subclassification or the subcategorization. And in this case, only the president is having the power to notify which communities could be receiving reservation benefits as per Article 341 of the Constitution. Because this subclassification is violating the right to equality. So how does it violate the right to equality? Because here we are treating the communities within the SC category differently, right? And it said that the constitution's rationale of keeping all the caste, certain caste, in a schedule, that is the scheduled caste, because they have faced historical discrimination due to untouchability, and they cannot be treated differently from one another if every caste, every scheduled caste has faced that discrimination due to untouchability. So SC list must be treated as a single homogeneous group, right? So this was the thought process behind the E.V. Chennaiya versus State of Andhra Pradesh case 2004. Then after 2 years, in the year 2006, the Punjab and the Haryana High Court struck down the 1975 notification by the Punjab government. After the case, Dr. Kishan Pal versus State of Punjab 2000. Then in 2018, we got the Jarnail Singh versus Lakshmi Narayan Gupta case, where the Supreme Court upheld the concept of creamy layer within the scheduled caste. That means it appreciated the diversity and the heterogeneity within the communities of the SC category due to the difference in the income, social status, etc. Right? So, but this creamy layer within the scheduled caste is different from the creamy layer that is there in the OBC category. Because in OBCs, we know that the creamy layer is excluded from the reservation benefits. But in the SC category, the creamy layer will get some lesser version of the reservation benefits. So that is the main difference. Okay, therefore it has put some income ceiling on those eligible for the reservations. That means who is getting less income will be getting more reservation benefits. Okay, and this concept of creamy layer was applied to the promotion of scheduled caste for the first time in the year 2018. So essentially, the sub-classification can be told as an application of the creamy layer formula, right? Then the reconsideration of the E.V. Chennaiah ruling was done in the year 2020 by the Constitution Bench headed by Justice Arun Mishra, where it appreciated the diversity and the heterogeneity within the SC, ST and OBC categories because of the various factors like occupation, education, income, social status, regional variations. It said that state cannot overlook, it cannot shut its eyes to the stark realities of the society. It cannot be a silent spectator over the differences that is there within the SC, ST and OBC categories. So there are unequals within the list of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and socially and educationally backward classes. And hence the scheduled caste is not at all a homogeneous group. So this overturned the E.V. Chennaiah ruling, where it said that the scheduled caste was a homogeneous group. But the Constitution Bench headed by Arun Mishra, Justice Arun Mishra, said that scheduled caste is not a homogeneous group because of the diversity and the heterogeneity within the community, within the category. So we discussed the Supreme Court verdicts with respect to the subclassification of the caste so that you are in a better place to form your arguments for the subclassification and also against the subclassification. Okay, so let's now start with the arguments which is favoring the subclassification. So first is regarding the Article 16(4) of the Constitution, where it says that the state has power to provide reservations for the backward classes. And what kind of backward classes? Those who are not adequately represented in the state services. So in this matter, states should also have the power to give representation to the socially and economically backward classes in comparison to the so-called dominant scheduled caste. Right? For example, the effort taken by the Punjab government in order to give some preferential treatment to the socially and economically backward categories, that is Valmiki and Mazhabi Sikh communities within the scheduled caste. Again, under Article 16(4) of the Constitution, the phrase used is adequately. That means state has got the power to provide reservation who are not adequately represented in the state services. It is not written equally represented. That means we have no obligation here to provide the same opportunities or same benefits to every community in the presidential list. Right? Then coming to the recently added Article 342A of the Constitution, where it empowers the states and the UTs to maintain their list of socially and economically backward classes, which may be different from the presidential list. Okay, so this can also act as a precedent for giving its ruling, for giving the ruling for or favoring the subclassification. Then not giving subclassification will defeat the very purpose of reservation, because without subclassification the weakest section of the society will be left behind. And we appreciated, we agreed that there is a creamy layer within the SCs in the Jarnail Singh versus Lakshmi Narayan Gupta case 2018. So we have to regard, we have to appreciate the heterogeneity and the diversity that is lying within the communities of the SC category. Right? Then coming to the arguments against the subclassification. So in the E.V. Chennaiah versus State of Andhra Pradesh case, we discussed that how it said that all the communities, including in the presidential list, suffered from the taint of untouchability, suffered from the historical discrimination due to untouchability. So they cannot be treated differently from one another. For this reason, the Constituent Assembly made a choice not to enter into comparisons of who suffered the most. It has not differentiated that who suffered the most and that should be getting the reservation benefits. So SC list is a single homogeneous group, and any subclassification would violate the right to equality. Right? Then Imagine a situation where a community is named in the presidential list did not receive any reservation benefits, just like the creamy layer within the OBCs, but they will be only left with the stigma of being a scheduled caste in that case. Okay, so it will increase the stigmatization. Then states did not have the discretion to ignore some scheduled caste in favor of the others. Okay, so these are the arguments against the subclassification. Then what is the way forward? Okay, so after all the debate, you have to tell that we need to have a updated data collection process on the population and the socio-economic status of the subgroups within the SC, ST and OBCs, so that we take a evidence-based decision. Okay, and a thorough caste census has to be done in order to provide a solid foundation or solid base for the evidence-based decision making. And we need to balance the subcategorization within the caste with the broader goals of social justice and the national integration. Okay, we have to balance out both. We need the subcategorization as well as we need the national integration, and to ensure that the subcategorization does not violate the constitutional principles of equality and non-discrimination. So these points you can write down in the way forward. Then coming to the next article is about the white paper that red flags the NPAs, the scams, the policy freeze. Okay, and this white paper was released ahead of the campaign for 2024 elections. So as you would have guessed by now that this is a very political article, but there are certain facts and certain concepts you need to understand from your exam point of view that we are going to discuss here. So first is that India is currently ranked among the top 5 based on the size of its GDP. This also you should be knowing about the current status of India with respect to its GDP. Then the FRBM Act. So the meeting of the FRBM Act, the meeting of the mandate of the FRBM Act happened only in 2007-8 year. Okay, so the only time so far, that is in the 2007-8, that we met the mandate of FRBM Act. Okay, then third fact is that the reason for high inflation, so we experienced a lot high inflation in the year 2013, and that was because of US Federal Reserve's taper tantrum or sudden decision to stop flushing the market with more money and high prices of crude oil. So this was not because of the UPA government failure, but this was because of the US Federal Reserve's taper tantrum or sudden decision to stop the flushing of the market with more money. So this US Federal Reserve's taper tantrum is very, very important from your exam point of view. They can be asked in the option, so basic understanding of this concept is necessary for you to eliminate the other options in the exam. So come to 2008 financial crisis, global financial crisis that was happening, and the US Federal Reserve implemented the quantitative easing just to stimulate the economic growth. So what is this economic quantitative easing, which was implemented by the US Federal Reserve just to stimulate the economic growth? So it is a monetary policy tool where the central bank will buy the government bonds in order to inject money in the market. And when there is lot of money in the market, the interest rates will come down. There will be lower interest rates, right? And when there will be lower interest rates, then the citizens, the people will be encouraged to take loans, to take a lot of loans, and that will stimulate the economic growth, right? Then in 2013, the central bank began to taper, began to reduce its quantitative easing purchases. And that brought a surprise to the investors who were very comfortable with the easy money policies so far. So there was a market reaction then because they were not happy with the reducing of the quantitative easing policy by the Fed Reserve, right? So the market reaction was in the form of stock prices falling down, the long-term interest rates going up sharply. So there was a market volatility. So this market volatility or this market reaction was dubbed as taper tantrum because it resembled a child throwing a tantrum in which it is not happy in response to getting something that they do not want. Here the market is the child, and the market is throwing a tantrum only because it does not want the reduced quantitative easing policy, right? So this is all about the Tapper tantrum. Now the main question is that how the Tapper tantrum caused some kind of inflationary situation in India in 2013. Though not the primary reason for the high inflation in India, but it caused some kind of inflationary situation in India. So the main reason is because of the currency depreciation that happened. Okay, how did the currency depreciation happen? Because the investors moved their money towards the US, seeking higher returns due to the rising US interest rates. Because of the squeezing of the quantitative easing policy, the interest rates went up in US, and all the investors, they moved their money to the US just to get the benefits out of the higher returns due to the higher interest rates there. So there were capital outflows from India. The capital flowed out of India, putting downward pressure on the rupee, and therefore we had a weaker rupee. And when we have a weak rupee, that will lead to increased cost of imports, because we need now more rupee in order to buy the same amount of goods through imports. So there was increased cost of imports, making them more expensive for the Indian consumers and businesses. So that led to inflationary pressures. That led to some kind of inflationary situation in India. Then there is another fact which is important from your mains as well as prelims point of view regarding the unemployment scenario according to the periodic labor force survey, where it said that the unemployment rate, it has improved progressively from 6% to 3.2% in the year 2017-18 to 22-23, right? But here there is a catch. There has been a surge in the unpaid workers. There has been deterioration in the quality of the jobs. So this unemployment rate improving just at the cost of deterioration in the quality of the jobs and the increase in the unpaid workers. Okay, so this you can write it in the challenge whenever you are writing an answer related to the unemployment scenario in India. Okay, so coming to the facts, the share of unpaid workers in the labor force of the country has gone progressively up to 18.3% now, from 13.6% in 2017-18. Similarly, the share of salaried workers, it has reduced over the time to 20.9% from 22.8% in 2017-18. Okay, so this was all about today's discussion. The short notes of this video discussion will be provided in our channel, Telegram channel, that is Kalamai's Academy. Do join us with the link provided in the description box. Okay, until then, goodbye, take care, happy learning.